You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
Oh, let me tell you something. I am so sick of Washington and all its works and all them politicians down there and them congressmen. I'll bet you won't find none of them congressmen signing down their electric blankets tonight. Which if they did, their secretaries would get up and go home.
We gotta do something.
Absolutely.
You know what we gotta do? Toga party.
Toga! 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 Toga!
I want you to kill every golfer on the course.
Check me if I'm wrong, Sandy, but if I kill all the golfers, they're going to lock me up and throw away the key.
All right, folks, happy Friday night. It's time for Robinson and Wright right here live on KLRNradio.com. And this is usually the show where we try to take let our hair down a little bit, have some fun, chill out. You know, it's the weekend or the beginning of the weekend anyway. And then, of course, there are all kinds of things that are going on in the news, which is going to mean that we actually have to be all serial and stuff. But I am joined, of course, by the other half of the crew, Mr. Dan Wright, who is yet again now a no account Dan, as we've been calling him all day today, because Twitter got him again.
Yeah, Twitter got me again. I'm now on appeal number 6 or 7 for a suspension for multiple overlapping accounts, and I have one account. That tells you exactly how much Twitter has their stuff together. I appeal my suspension, and it's almost on cue, somewhere between 2:20 and 2:40 in the morning. I get an email that says I'm permanently suspended for multiple overlapping accounts, of which I have one. So I'm overlapping my own account somehow. That's how Twitter is doing things now.
Well, I think they're confusing their own language, because I mean, if they could, they could probably rightfully suspend you for having multiple personalities, but not necessarily multiple accounts. No, I'm just playing.
Exactly. I have my normal talking voice like this, and then I have my "you just sent me" Irish. So yes, if they change the terms of service to multiple personalities are not allowed, that would be fine. But to be honest, their terms of service is you can have multiple accounts as long as you don't overlap them. Okay? So I have one account. How am I overlapping it? That's it boggles my mind. And from what I'm getting told is it's getting in the right queue. So what I keep doing is I just keep appealing and waiting to get in the right queue, because it seems like if I get into the queue that gets observed on second shift, I get permabanned. If I get into the queue that goes into day shift, they send me an apology letter. So I just have to keep appealing until it goes to day shift. And then they go, oh yeah, it's this guy again. Why is he suspended? Here's your account back. We're very sorry that we took your account away from you.
And then 5 minutes later, they take it back again.
Yeah, and then 3 days later, I'm suspended again. And literally, this last time, I did nothing but retweet people and post funny gifs to people and stuff like that. And I got suspended. It's a cesspool, is what it is. Mr. Ed, Mr. Donut, that came in that said that he was going to fix everything and make everything great for everybody, has made it so that the degenerates can get rid of all the good people.
I don't know how
I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that because I'm at this point, I only want my account back to tick off the people that got me suspended. That's about where I am with Twitter. And a few other people I know too.
So
that you know too.
Yep. So I didn't really have time to get this prepped, but as promised, I did tell everybody last week that the next time you got suspended, I was going to have this waiting on you.
Oh my God! They killed Kenny!
Anyway, for next week, I'll actually get the audio edited down and
you could probably almost morph that to sound like Danny. Oh my God, they killed Danny.
We probably could if I tried hard enough. All right, so let's actually, I guess, get into the meat of the show. For those of you, actually, I'd like to promote something real quick, and then we'll actually get seriously into the topics of the week, because there's a lot of stuff that's been going on. A lot of things nobody's talking about now because of the whole Syria situation, but we'll kind of touch on all of it. We actually have a guest coming on with us next week for the second half of the show. We'll have J.D. Rucker of the Federalist Party, who will be with us next week, so make sure you tune in for that. It'll actually be hour 2. That will give us time to get the other news and stuff out of the way, and then we can actually focus on the guest. But speaking of news and events of the day, there's a few things that have been interesting this week, and I'd kind of like to start out with something else first, only because Syria seems like it's taken the front burner on all of it, and we'll actually kind of talk about that too, and some interesting things that have happened around that whole Syrian event. But something that nobody's really talking about anymore because we're too busy talking about lobbing cruise missiles at an airbase in Syria is the fact that the Republican Senate went nuclear yesterday and actually did something they lamented the Democratic Party doing back in 2013. And of course, because of that, they were able to get Gorsuch confirmed, which I am actually a fan of. But at the same time, I'm getting really, really tired of political musical chairs, because it's like the party that's on the outs all of a sudden starts talking about when the party that has power, well, the party that's in power needs to work with us, the little people, and we need to have our say too. And then they get mad when the party that's in power says, well, screw you, we won. And then, well, we wouldn't do that to you guys. And then they turn around and do the exact same thing. I'm really sick and tired of the political musical chairs, because it's like the whole dance stays the same. The only thing that changes is who's leading.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I mean, I did get a little bit of self-gratitude out of yesterday on social media, being able to pull an old Harry Reid tweet where he said, "Thank you, America, for helping me bust the filibuster," from 2013, and basically say, "Hey, Harry, you just got another black eye." I liked being able to do that, but at the same time, it's just one side using the same crap that the other side used to get stuff done. It needs to stop. It needs to go away. We need to get back to people actually talking again, which you and I have discussed. We've seen, I have it on our level. Talking is starting to happen, and I hope it keeps moving up. I have I've gained a lot more liberal friends, and we can talk, because they don't like what's going on both sides either. So in some ways, I think it's good, but on the federal level right now, it's just awful. It's basically, ha ha, we did to you what you did to us. Now, what are you going to do now? It's childish. It's become childish. One side makes rules, the other side uses them. The other side says, you can't do that. That's our rules. Well, it doesn't work that way. Stop making rules. Let's bring everything back down to the way it was originally designed to be. And, I don't care if you all need to duel it out on the Capitol lawn, duel it out. I'm good with that.
And that's my thing. I just want the tit for tat to stop, because that's all Washington has become. It's become this massive tit for tat scenario where it's just like, okay, so you guys did this to us the last time, so now we're going to do this to you. And then everybody thumbs their nose at the other side. And I've even seen people that I respect, talking about how, the Democrats drew first blood when they did the whole Bork thing years ago and blah, blah, blah. You know what? That's great. That's fine. But who's going to stand up and be the adult in the room, damn it? I want an adult in the room. We don't have an adult in the room anymore. All we have is a bunch of people that are standing across from each other, pointing fingers and saying, well, you did this to us the last time, so watch this. And now we have the Washington version of hold my beer. That's what we have going on right now. It's like, who can one-up who, and who's going to do worse, who's going to do it more the next time. And this is the thing. Now, literally, because of these changes, there's going to be no way to block future appointments to the Supreme Court. There's just not. Because they decided, and look, I get it. Gorsuch was a great pick, and I understand the mindset of it, because they're mad because the Democrats even said that they were blocking someone who they felt was qualified, but just didn't line up with their moral compass. I have a problem with that. I really do. But now you've made it just as easy for them in the future to put the most deviant, weird, twisted people on that bench that they ever want to, because now there is no 60 vote. There's just not. It's now simple majority. And if they can get that, that's all it's going to take. I have a problem with that, because this is the same thing that I ask everybody every single time. If you're okay with your side having this ability and this power, that's great. I'm glad. Have your warm, fuzzy moment. But what happens when the other side gets a turn? Because they will get a turn.
Absolutely. And it puts a little bit of a comedy side note on this, but a couple friends of ours and a fellow co-host, G, and a friend of ours, Brick, they got into a conversation yesterday talking about term limits and getting rid of the 80-year-olds that are trying to run our lives and everything else. And it came down to the conversation actually came down to, yes, cage matches. Let's get some younger people in there and we'll just have cage matches, because to me, that even makes more sense than the constant rules changes. And we're gonna do this since we're in power. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna make this rule, and then they're not in power anymore. Then the other guy says, "Well, we're gonna take your rule and we're gonna do the same thing to you." Now, let's just, like I said with the duels, let's throw them out there. You want to duke it out, duke it out. I mean, it was a humorous conversation, but it in some ways made sense, because it's how it used to be. You know, when this country was founded, when people had disagreements, they debated it and debated it and debated it, and sometimes it got ugly. I mean, look at England. If you look at Parliament in England, it gets ugly. But you know what? They don't change their rules. They debate it. It gets real ugly, but they debate it. They don't change the rules. Stop changing the rules. The rules are the rules. That's it. You shouldn't be able to change them.
No, I agree completely, and honestly, that's one of the things. I mean, we don't debate anything anymore. I mean, look at the last 8 years in Congress. They don't debate anything anymore. When whichever side can hold something up doesn't get what they want, they threaten to basically bring everything to a halt until the other side caves. There's no debate anymore, and that was one of the things that I really, really hoped was going to change with the Republican Congress, because we gave them a majority in everything. We didn't give them a filibuster-proof majority, but we still gave them a majority. So I was hoping to finally see, because, and again, I was hoping for adults in the room, because, there was, up until about the last 15, 20 years, there was this unspoken kind of courtesy that the party that was in charge, because, the people voted for that party to be in charge, basically got whatever it was that they wanted, because the party voted for them to be in charge, or the people voted for them to be in charge. And somehow, some way, we lost sight of that somewhere. Because there would be a really simple way to solve most of the problems that are in this country right now, and that would be for the people to vote, and then for the party that they voted for to get to do pretty much whatever they want to do within the bounds of what they've been sent to D.C. to do. And then when it blows up in their faces, the other side gets a turn. And if that doesn't work, then the other side gets a turn. And if neither side can figure it out, eventually we'd finally figure out, hey, we probably need to start a new party. But the thing about it is, nobody has that unspoken kind of gentleman's agreement anymore. And I know somebody's yelling at me for being sexist right now because I said gentleman. I don't care. Sit down. Shut up. But they don't have that agreement anymore, because things would work so much better if they did, because then you'd actually get to see what it was that a party was really wanting to try to do. And then if it went great, hey, you know what? This worked. Maybe we should let them keep working at it. Oh, no, this really kind of sucks. We should probably change to the other guys now and see what happens. But we don't get to see that anymore, because now no matter what, each party tells us whatever their respective voters want to hear, and then they do the exact opposite when they're in there. And it's become more and more prevalent over time, and it's why I'm so glad that we have folks like J.D. Rucker, who's going to be on with us next week, and some other folks that we've been working with that are seriously trying to find ways to change things, because this is insanity. I mean, our political system has literally become Einstein's definition of insanity, because we keep doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. Our domestic policy has become Einstein's definition of insanity. Our international policy has become Einstein's definition of insanity. What we do with our military has become Einstein's definition of insanity. It's all just nuts, because we keep doing the same things over and over again. And if we keep banging our head against the same wall, eventually it's going to cave in. No. you're eventually going to probably give yourself a concussion. But sure, feel free to sit there and bang your head against that same wall that you've been banging your head against for the last 7 years. It's like, it's no different than when we talked about the Obamacare situation. The Republicans ran on a platform to repeal Obamacare. They told the American people that if we gave them back Congress, the White House, and, that they would take care of Obamacare. They actually voted to repeal Obamacare 66 times. They put a piece of legislation on Obama's desk that they knew he wouldn't sign. That all apparently became just this whole big act because they didn't put the same piece of legislation up whenever they had somebody on behind the desk that might have signed it. But see, here's the part, because we all talk about that, but nobody talks about the elephant in the room. And yes, I said elephant for a reason. Donald Trump wouldn't have signed that anyway, because let's not forget his 60 Minutes interview where he specifically said he wanted government-run healthcare. But they still should have put it on his desk to force him to either sign it or show the American people that he really does want socialized medicine. But they can't, because that would be basically turning against someone who is technically within their own party, which is why a lot of us that have been, not so pro Donald Trump and been giving him the benefit of the doubt for the last 100 days or so, basically we're looking at it going, we cannot really fight somebody who's supposed to be within our own party. And this proves it, because if this was Hillary Clinton, the Republicans could have again put the repeal legislation on her desk and let her either sign it or not sign it. But they knew that Trump wouldn't sign it, so they couldn't do that. So they tried to find a way to work it out to still fix it, and they couldn't get it done.
Yeah. I'm going to put something out there, and it's going to be unpopular with a lot of people. But aside from a handful in the Senate and a handful in the Congress, we are dealing with neocons. And what neocons are progressives. The end. That's what we're dealing with. That's who we voted in. They sat there and sat on their hands and didn't come up with a real plan. And, Trump got the nomination. There's no way he's going to win. So now we really don't need to come up with a plan. So they didn't come up with a plan. There's ways they could have presented something that was way different than what they had. And they make excuses. Well, we couldn't just repeal we legally couldn't. No, you're wrong. They put these buzzwords out there to make people believe that they couldn't do what they said they were going to do. They're wrong. They're in power. They could have done anything. They could have done anything. They didn't have a plan. They ran on having a plan, and they didn't have a plan. It's DC as usual is what we're dealing with. And there are, like I said, there's a handful in both the Senate and the Congress that were calling BS on it to begin with. And, those are the people that if you truly are and I'm going to say the word, and I'm really starting to hate the word, if you truly are a conservative, those are the people that you should be behind. And that's, the Ted Cruzes, the Rand Pauls, people like that. Those are the people you should be behind. But people are so incensed with, we gotta back Trump because he's the conservative president. He's not a conservative. He's not. I've ditched the term conservative. I'm me. I'm just me. And yes, I may have, if you see my bio on Twitter, which you can't see right now, I do not put conservative in there anywhere because I'm not a conservative. Conservatives all seem to be people that want to conserve big government and everything else. It's the conservative thing is done. It's over. I'm an American. That's what I want to be. I'm an American, and I want the government to be run the way the government was supposed to be run when the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and the Federalist Papers and everything were put together from the beginning. That's how I want the government to be run. I'm an American. The end. And when I get my account back, right now I call myself I call myself a classical liberal, which is basically what I am, which was the basis for conservatism. I'm ready to just take that off and just say American. That's what I am.
All right, folks, we've hit the bottom of hour number 1. We're going to take a really quick break. When we come back, more about this whole conundrum we find ourselves in as conservatives. And do we have a home anymore? Is the Republican Party it? Should we be looking elsewhere? And yeah, we're still kind of teasing the whole guest for next week because, hey, it's a big deal. J.D. Rucker. I mean, come on. He's coming on our show. You should be happy for us. Don't judge us. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine combat veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
folks, welcome back. This is the bottom half of the first hour of the show, and so far we've been kind of all over the map, mainly talking about this whole nuclear option and this whole musical chairs thing that's been going on in Congress, because it's been interesting to watch the dynamic change to the point where it's changed somewhat, but it's like neither party really understands the role that they have right now, because one is still trying to pretend that they are the party in power, and the other is still trying to do everything as if they're the minority party, and it's just kind of interesting to watch the lack of effort put forth by everybody. But, you know, there's a more sinister way to look at this, and at this point, the more we see this unfolding, the more I am of the mindset that I think we've probably been more right than we know, for those of us that have had this idea for a while. And that is really that there's no real difference between the two parties anymore. That it has, in many ways, become nothing but a brand war. Because in the next segment, we're going to start talking about the Syria situation. There are some things that legitimately have me upset about the Syria situation, but we're going to kind of look at it from all sides. But one of the biggest things I want to point out is, you know, not too long ago, all of these people that are screaming and yelling that that Donald Trump threw cruise missiles into Syria wanted Barack Obama, in a lot of instances, to do the exact same thing, and he never did. And then a lot of the folks that were diametrically opposed to Barack Obama doing that, even though he did try to go to Congress and get approval and they denied it, so he didn't do it, are now cheering the fact that Donald Trump unilaterally did it when even Donald Trump, now let's not forget this part because this makes it even more interesting, even Donald Trump in the final days of the Obama administration started putting out tweets talking about what a terrible thing it would be if Barack Obama attacked Syria, and how it would do nothing but cause more issues, and how it would do nothing but embolden our enemies, and it was a bad move. I want to know what has changed for Donald Trump in the last 100 days, where he's suddenly done a complete 180, or was he simply pandering to the American people? And I can answer that question for you, folks, because he lines it out very well in his book. Because he says more than once, tell people a lie long enough, they start believing it. And that's basically what he outlines in his book over and over and over again. In The Art of the Deal is basically how to get people to buy into your crap and buy what you want from them. And he sold every last one of us on a bill of goods. And I get it. He's the president now, and I have to respect the office. But I don't have to respect what he's doing with the office. It really is that simple. I'm going to let Dan talk for a bit, because I talked about this for almost an hour last night, and then we're going to kind of take things in a slightly different direction, because I still have some things I'd like to say about some weird things that kind of correspond to this whole thing in Syria.
Well, this is my whole thing with Syria. What happened over there was awful. I get it. Absolutely terrible. To drop sarin gas, which is what it literally does to you, is basically give you advanced Ebola. It's what it does. It takes all of your body's ability to control your nerves away. I won't even describe it because it's horrid, but you lose all bodily function, and it's terrible. And I get it. I think what happened last night, honestly, was it was twofold. It was a reaction to something that was absolutely horrid, and it was an attention getter, which Trump almost even said it was an attention getter. But by doing what he did and bypassing Congress and everything else, it wasn't, I won't say it was illegal, but it wasn't how things are supposed to work. again, we talked about it in the first segment, another thing that it's just not how it's supposed to work. I mean, as president, I guess, yeah, he could say, yep, go ahead and do it. But he didn't take necessarily the proper steps. I get it. I don't have a problem with the reason. I have a problem with the actual actions and how they were taken and how they were done. People say, well, yeah, it's great. Unlike Obama, Trump didn't telegraph everything he was going to do. You can go through Congress without telegraphing what you're going to do. Again, it's knee-jerk. He's doing a lot of knee-jerk stuff. Slow down. He could have taken it to Congress. He could have said, he even could have come out and said, look, this is atrocious, and I'm taking it to Congress, and if something like this ever happens again, I'm going to take it to Congress to make sure that I have the ability to take action on it. That would be great. At the same time, I'm looking at the other side with people literally saying, we can't even prove it really happened. Huh? Saying, well, that all could have been faked. All that filming, all those pictures, everything else, that could all just be faked. No, it happened. The fake news thing needs to go away. Our president needs to take the proper steps to do things like what happened last night. I mean, last night I'm watching TV, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom. And to be honest with you, Red State, if they had played it right, they had the scoop, but they just put out this crazy headline, this crazy clickbait headline that said something's going on at the Pentagon. Well, something's always going on at the Pentagon. But I saw that headline, and then 5 minutes later, I'm watching TV, and we just launched 59 Tomahawks at Syria. It's not supposed to work that way. It's just not. I mean, the element of surprise is the element of surprise. I get it, but you got to take the proper channels.
All right, so this is where I kind of take devil's advocate for a moment, and only because I actually did some research on the fly during America Off the Rails last night, because I was kind of having the same reaction everybody else was. Well, surely what he just did was unconstitutional. Whether it's unconstitutional or not remains to be seen, because there hasn't been a SCOTUS ruling on the Wartime Powers Act of 1973, so we have to take the law on its merits. According to the law, he has 48 hours after initiation of any actions to notify the leadership of Congress that he's taken said actions. At that point, he has the ability to unilaterally act for up to 60 days, awaiting Congress's formal declaration. If he does not get their declaration within 60 days, he then has a maximum of 30 days to stand down, spin down, or withdraw any troops or activities currently underway. So he has not violated any law. I will admit he violated decorum, and I really would have wished, after especially the number of times that he tweeted directly to Barack Obama and said, if you do this without going to Congress, it's going to make you look like an idiot and will be bad for America. I really wish he would have done it, because the sad thing about the internet, Mr. President, is it never really goes away. So now everybody's using those same tweets, and they're pointing to this going, hey, where's this guy? Where's the guy who said we need to go to Congress first? And why didn't you go to Congress first? And they can't really use the element of surprise option or line when they actually contacted Russia on the de-escalation line about 30 minutes prior and said, hey, we're about to throw some cruise missiles at that base over there, so just want to give you a heads up. 30 minutes is plenty enough time to have moved some of that stuff away, for one. I understand that, because I have some friends in the military, and I've been being talked down off of this ledge all day today, because, it's just one of those things where they're like, hey, if not for that, we might have actually gone to war with Russia today. And I think, did we lose you, Dan? Yep, I think we lost Dan. Let's try to get him back, shall we? Nope, he's offline. I think he may have just hung up on me. Maybe he didn't like me playing devil's advocate. Was there? Oh, uh-oh. Now we have both of them calling back again. Let me just get Dan back so we don't pull J.D. Rucker back from his dinner. Sorry, I saw you were trying to call back, but when you tried to reinitiate the call, you were doing it as the group, so I was trying to not bring JD back in. Oh.
Yeah, hold on a sec.
Yeah. See, we should have changed over to the conference call thing again.
We probably have.
Yeah. Maybe we'll take care of that at the bottom of the hour, because we only got about 14 minutes or so left anyway. We can take a little bit longer break and actually change back over while we're playing commercials. Because it won't take that long to spin it up. But anyway, actually, I guess if you want, we could take the break now and get that fixed so we don't keep having you drop off.
That works.
All right, we're going to take a really quick break and get this set up on a system that doesn't drop Dan off every 5 minutes. So we'll be back here in about 5 or 6 minutes, folks. We're going to take a break a little bit early. Back in a few.
Everything is changing.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine combat veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
All right, folks, we are back. We are live, and I think we have the technical issues under control because we're actually using a different setup for us to be able to communicate. So hopefully, Skype can go take a flying leap. All right. So anyway, where did you lose audio so I can kind of figure out where we were?
I don't know.
So anyway, I was talking about the War Powers Act and the fact that, he did actually operate within the law. But my issue is, when candidate Trump was tweeting like a madman, which I realize isn't much different than President Trump, but he said several things pointed in the direction of Barack Obama about how it was going to be important, if not imperative, that Barack Obama make sure he got approval of Congress before taking any actions with Syria. And yet candidate Trump and President Trump apparently had two very different philosophies. So I'm curious as to what's changed for him in the last 100 days.
Yeah, I saw something that I'll give you a little chuckle. I saw something today that said that, I can't remember, I think it was on Facebook. It said that if Donald Trump was walking and tripped over a squirrel and fell on his face, we would definitely be able to go back about 4 or 5 years and find a tweet where he said, only an idiot would trip on a squirrel and fall on his face. Everything, that's the problem with Twitter and the internet, is everything that he does wrong, it really seems like somebody is able to go back and find a tweet where he basically said that was wrong. And yet he still, every morning, I have people on social media that will, and I ignore a lot of it because I really don't care, but I'll get a message from a group or just an individual that says, oh, he's on Twitter now, this is what he said. Take his phone away.
I mean, seriously.
Take his phone away.
He has people that can do this now. Let them run the social media accounts, Mr. President. Please. All right, so devil's advocate time, because, this actually, because everybody talks about how, the people that know Donald Trump anyway talk about how he's always playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. I have to give him some credit, because you remember at the beginning of the show, you and I were talking about the fact that the Senate went nuclear yesterday. Nobody's talking about that because they're too busy talking about Syria. So score one for the president and for the Republican Party, because this seems to have been a pretty good distraction. Now, fold in a couple of other interesting little things that were happening around the same time, because let's not forget, within the last couple of weeks, Donald Trump, at least on one occasion, talked about being willing and able to take unilateral action against North Korea, which nobody believed he was serious about at the time, including China. But he had a dinner scheduled with China. Oddly enough, I don't think they had that double Big Mac that he was talking about a few short months ago when he was talking about those expensive state dinners. But anyway, that's a story for another segment. But, they were sitting down, and at the whole time during the Syrian campaign, which lasted, about probably an hour, where they lobbed I think the count's been revised. I think it now may officially be 60 Tomahawk missiles. But while that was all going on, Trump was sitting across from the leader of China, and they were discussing North Korea. Now remember, President Trump just a few short weeks ago had said that he was willing and able to take unilateral action against North Korea, but nobody, including the leader of China, believed it. I guarantee you, sitting across that table last night, the leader of China believed that Donald Trump would be willing and able, and quite possibly would, take unilateral action against North Korea. So now he's gotten the attention of China, and he's got the little mental midget from North Korea probably quaking in his boots. I mean, he's literally probably in his little palace right now.
I'm so lonely.
Kind of sounding a little bit like that. So I mean, if you look at it on just the face of it, and again, we're not talking constitutionality, because the issue with trying to prove whether this was constitutional or not, you would have to dispute the War Powers Act, and I don't see CODIS overturning that, because then you have to take a whole look at the whole part of the Constitution that grants war powers to Congress, and it would be a mess. So on the face of it, what he did was legal. I still think it was wrong, because he was the one that just a few short months ago was telling everybody that the president shouldn't do these things without talking to Congress. Then he did them. But at the same time, if you're going to do something and you're basically going to have a hold my beer moment as president, it was a good plan, because one, you stopped everybody talking about the nuclear option. Two, you proved to North Korea that if they don't knock it the hell off, they're probably next. And you proved to China that if they don't help you get North Korea under control, they're going to be next. So, I mean, on the face of it, he kind of won the day. It's hard to say, because you're looking at it going, great, we're now back to, the whole warmongering thing. But at the same time, God, this hurts to say, but it reminds me of the couple of things that everybody at the time chalked up to gaffes for Reagan, that wound up being things that wound up being major foreign policy shifts, because people just thought the dude was nuts.
Yeah, no, you're right, and it's I'm going to put a word out there. Strategery. It really kind of is. It was very convenient. Everything was very convenient last night, and it may like I'm in the same boat with you. I don't really agree with what he did, but it really did seem very almost calculated. I mean, he's a businessman. It seemed, okay, I can do this, and it's going to make him and him turn their heads and go, what? And at the same time, he came out with basically a statement that said, this was an attention getter. That's basically what he said. This is an attention getter.
And it worked. Now, here's back to me being pragmatic. Here's my other problem with all this. Because, look, you look at it, as chess moves go, it was a really, really good one. But here's my problem with all of this. And this is something that I've been talking about all day today. Because, we've had some people behind the scenes that have been kind of doing what I like to call the victory shuffle. And those would be none other than John the Old Nag McCain, the Hildebeest, and the Raisin, formerly known as John F. and Kerry, have all been behind the scenes doing a victory shuffle today, because they agree with what Donald Trump did in Syria. When the Three Stooges are clapping themselves on the back for something that Donald Trump did, I'm starting to wonder if we didn't screw up somewhere.
Well, and you can throw Nancy Pelosi in that too.
Yeah, well, the Crypt Keeper doesn't deserve to be in anybody's group.
Yeah, well, she's basically agreeing with the move too. It's we're looking at, and I've said the word before, we're looking at the uniparty. That's what it is. We have one party running this country. They don't agree on everything. They don't agree on much. They argue a lot. They complain about each other a lot. But they're all in cahoots. Like I said, to leave everybody out, they're all in it for themselves. And I'm not saying everyone. There's a handful on both sides. There's a handful that are sitting there going, what is going on? And the rest of them, they're all like, we all need to keep our jobs. We have to keep our jobs. That's what's going on.
Yeah, no, I mean, seriously, and that's really what it's kind of become. It's become this whole circus act behind the scenes where they're like, okay, so we're going to do this, this, and this out in front of the cameras, and then they get together behind the scenes and they talk about, okay, so we're going to do this, this, and this next, because then the American people will think that, you know, well, you get to be the bad guy this time, and we'll get to be the good guys, and then blah, 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 blah. And it literally just becomes this whole choreographed type of thing. And it's one of the things that, again, we've been kind of talking about the whole show, because the other thing that nobody's talking about with this Syria situation is a few short months ago, the roles were reversed. Everybody that's praising Trump for what he did today was shouting down Obama for even talking about doing it. And everybody that was praising Obama for what he was thinking about doing and actually couldn't get it done is shouting down Trump today. I'm tired of the musical chairs. At least I've been consistent. I didn't want either one of them throwing cruise missiles into Syria because I don't think we need to destabilize that region any more than it already is. The issue that I have is because, you know, hindsight is 2020. I get why we went into Iraq. And if anything, I think George Bush has been vindicated over the events of the last few days about us going into Iraq. Because I remember distinctly the intelligence services in that day and time telling us that because they took so long to get into Iraq and they had to jump through so many hoops to make it happen, and they tried to keep everybody happy by going to the UN and doing this and doing that, that they managed to get a lot of the chemical weapons to where? Syria. Who's been using chemical weapons? Syria. So I bet you if we actually looked, and nobody will because they're never going to let 43 get the vindication, but these things have distinct chemical fingerprints. We can find out where these weapons originated, and I bet if they bothered to look, they originated in Iraq. So this is my problem with all of it, though, is we're all talking about this big choreographed Charlie Foxtrot that's been going on since the 2000s, and nobody's really doing anything about it. I mean, look, if we were really going to do something about Syria, is lobbing a handful of cruise missiles in there really going to do much? Other than I mean, look, I had Al on the show with me last night. Well, he wasn't with me last night, but he was hanging out in one of the rooms that I usually talk in when I'm on the air. And he literally said that this was the equivalent of trying to piss on a forest fire. Because it was. That's literally, you know, it looks good. It looks good, you know. We shot a warning shot. We told them, hey, this isn't Barack Obama's administration anymore. There aren't going to be any more lines in the sand drawn in the rose art. But we still didn't really accomplish anything other than those few things on the face that we were talking about earlier. Because now, guess what? Now we have Russia starting to raise up their hackles. According to media, there are now Russian naval ships headed towards the American naval ships that were just shooting cruise missiles. How close are we to World War II right now? Or World War III, sorry. Nobody's talking about that either.
No, and I posted something. Brett Baer this morning. He tweeted out, that a Russian warship was entering the Mediterranean Sea, heading towards our destroyers. And I basically said, here we go. And there's going to be some standoff. There definitely is going to be some standoff from all this. And Russia doesn't want war with us. We don't want war with Russia. We can write that off. I really believe that. I mean, Russia's done some things over the last year, and a couple other countries have, but I don't think that stuff's going to keep happening. Buzzing our ships and everything else, that's not going to keep happening. But stuff is getting tense worldwide. It's getting very tense, and everybody needs to breathe. The Middle East is a mess. It's always been a mess. It's always going to be a mess. We're not going to correct the Middle East. It's not going to happen. We can keep trying, but throwing a bunch of cruise missiles in isn't going to do it. That's not going to correct the Middle East. It's just going to give the president some swagger. That's all it's going to do.
No, I mean I completely agree. All right, so we took one break a bit out of order, but now we're back past the top of the hour. So we got to take another one really quick to try to get back onto station standard. So we'll be back here in just about 3 to 4 minutes with the official top of the hour for the last part of the show. This is Robinson and Wright. We'll be back here in just a few. Don't go away.
Listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine combat veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Oh, let me tell you something. I am so sick of Washington and all its works and all them politicians down there and them congressmen. I'll bet you won't find none of them congressmen signing down their electric blankets tonight. Which if they did, their secretaries would get up and go home.
We gotta do something.
Absolutely.
You know what we gotta do? Toga party.
Toga! Toga!
Toga!
Toga! Toga! Toga! Toga! Toga! Toga! Toga! Click, click, boom! I'm coming down on the stereo, put me on the radio. Click, click, boom!
I want you to kill every golfer on the course.
Check me if I'm wrong, Sandy, but if I kill all the golfers, they're going to lock me up and throw away the key.
All right, folks, welcome back. Well, we're officially into what should be hour 2, but since we were a little bit off, we've actually been into the second hour now for a bit. But to try to get things as close to back to normal as possible, we decided to run the intro again. Okay, so we've been kind of all over the place. We've been talking about Syria. We've been talking about the nuclear option. We've been talking about the fact that, if nothing else, Trump actually managed to take what could have been a bad situation and typically seemed to have actually used it to his advantage. Now, there have been a couple of other interesting things that have been going on. I'm going to lead off with the one that I thought was the most interesting, because over the last few days, things have not been going well for one Mr. Bannon with the Trump administration. He was originally removed, I believe it was from the Security Council for the Trump administration, and now it seems like he's on the outs with the entire White House staff. I could have read that wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw that somewhere.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer schlub. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah, he thinks he's the type of guy that thinks that everything he says is golden, and it's not. And it's starting to backfire on him. The staff does not like him. The rest of the staff. Nobody likes him. He's a loudmouth. He always has been. He always will be. And it's backfiring. Why he is even involved with politics, the administration, anything, I really have no idea. Other than the fact that he really helped push Trump to the top.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give him credit there. He actually did. But I guess the interesting thing is now things have gotten so tense between the two that rumor has it Donald Trump is actually considering firing Steve Bannon. Now, at the same time, it looks like he's also considering firing Reince Priebus, which I think I would call karma. But, I guess that's a story for another day. It's just, it's interesting to see all of the shakeups already within this administration. I mean, we have, the people that were confirmed and then basically removed, and now we have the shakeup with Bannon. I mean, look, I wasn't a fan of Bannon being put in the position that he was in anyway, because up until the Trump administration, we were making fun of the position that Steve Bannon occupies right now because it was the one specifically created, and yes, I said created, for Valerie Jarrett. And we used to talk about the fact that Barack Obama was so inexperienced he had to create a position to put an advisor in to help him figure out what to do when he wasn't on the golf course. And then all of a sudden, when Donald Trump didn't get rid of the position and then instead appointed someone to it, all of a sudden the conservatives weren't laughing about it as much anymore. And they were, I just, again, the political musical chairs is really getting annoying. I mean, maybe I'm a political... go ahead. Sorry.
I hate to correct you, but no, it was to make the decisions while Barack Obama was on the golf course.
Well,
not while he wasn't.
I said corrected. But yeah, I guess I can see your point.
It's a crap position. It shouldn't be there. It's another position we're paying for. I mean, if you're going to run for president, you shouldn't need anybody called special advisor or anything else. You're the president. You have plenty of other advisors around you. You don't need the president doesn't need somebody designated as not just a personal assistant, a personal advisor. You don't need that. You ran for president. You do not need a personal advisor. Your advisors are everybody you put around you. You do not need a personal advisor.
Well,
and that's what it is.
Well, I mean,
that's what the position is. I mean, it's a whisper in your ear. You don't need that. You're supposed to surround yourself with the people that can answer your questions. You don't need another level. It doesn't need to be there.
No,
especially if it's Bannon.
Well, not only that, but it's a position that we're paying for. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't one of the things that we were talking about with the changing of the guard the fact that we were hoping somebody was going to finally focus on the fact that this country's broke? I mean, we've been broke now for quite some time. And under Barack Obama, it got much, much worse. And now we have the same type of reckless spending is still going on. I mean, look, say what you want about President Obama and his trips to Vegas and the golf course and everything else, but I seem to remember a certain president, when he was candidate Trump, making fun of how often Barack Obama was away from the White House on the weekends and on these special trips and everything else, and now pretty much every weekend he's in Florida, costing us how many millions of dollars every time they want to go down to Florida. When he was the one that was talking about, well, when I'm president, I won't have time to be doing all this traveling because there's too much work to be done. That sounded great on the campaign trail. I like the fact that he said that on the campaign trail because I'm getting really tired of presidents traveling all over the place on our dime, and then we gotta foot the bill for it. Not only that, but we have for the first time in history a first family that's split up. We're actually paying to keep two halves of a family secure in multiple locations, and now apparently, because she's actually part of the first family, I think I read somewhere that we're actually paying money towards the Trump house in New York, which I'm not sure I agree with if that is happening.
No, and it's the whole thing comes down to it. He'll sit there and he'll say, "Well, I'm I'm donating my salary to charity, which he's doing. He is. He's donating his salary to charity.
Yeah.
His salary is paltry compared to what it costs to move him back and forth.
Yeah,
now,
but hang on. Before you go too much further with that, let's focus on that donation to charity here real quick. Because what was it, like $780-something thousand? I don't remember what it was for the first quarter. I think it was like $788,000. He donated it to the Parks Department after he slashed their budget by like $1.6 billion. He's like, oh, yeah, here, have this. To me, that just seemed like a really rather large slap in the face. It's like somebody reaching into your wallet, taking the $350 that was in there, and basically going, "Oh, well, you know what? I've taken a little too much. Here, have this $20 bill back."
Yep.
Huh?
Pretty much.
I mean, I just
and the some of the budget slashes have been okay to me.
Oh no, some of them
the
I'm
national
completely
parks
control with.
kind of bugged me. We already have issues with keeping up our national parks.
Yeah, I have real big issues with them slashing the budgets for the national parks because let's not forget how much money this country makes off of tourism. That's the same problem we're facing in my state now because, the interesting thing is, they recently redid our license plates, which was supposed to be this big economic thing because, cheap labor. Prisoners make those things. So we pay like $5 for the new tags. It only takes them like 2.5 to make them. So it's basically free money because everybody has to buy a new one. But it's really interesting because they have the website for finding all of our state parks is now at the bottom of the license plate. It's exploreoklahoma.com. They're closing all of the state parks because we don't have the budget to run them. So we have a license plate advertising state parks nobody can go to because they're all closed. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's... I don't know. I see people cheering him for the gesture of donating his salary to the national parks, but one weekend of travel from D.C. to Florida, it's tenfold what was donated. The salary for the president is paltry. It really is. It's nothing, considering he is what everybody wants to say is quote unquote the leader of the free world. The salary is nothing. So he's foregone the salary, but what does it cost to fly Air Force One from Washington to Florida and to have the Secret Service detail with everybody the whole time while his wife is in New York having a Secret Service detail? It's business as usual is the way I look at it.
It really is. And, to add to the weirdness, and this is just one of the things that, again, kind of makes me wonder if we're on the right side of this. I just happened to be scrolling through Twitter, and I came across a Fox News feed where Lindsey Graham was quoted as to saying, "I would just say this about President Trump. I'm proud of him. He did something Obama did not do." And this was apparently a segment on Tucker Carlson. So again, lining up the people that actually seem to think this was a good idea, the more of them that stand up and say, "Hey, I really like what he did here," the less I like what we did, because it's all people I don't really trust. I don't trust Senator Lindsey Graham. I haven't for quite some time. He comes across as a used car salesman. Yeah, maybe it's a soft-spoken thing, but I don't know. He hasn't sat right with me for a while.
How hard all these people that are just completely and totally slobbing on board right now are people that Trump absolutely just vilified during the election. He made Graham look like a complete and total tool for a year. And I'm not a Graham fan, but I'll be honest with you, in the debates I saw that Graham was in, he did a pretty damn good job. I found myself watching those debates and preferring the second stage debates over the first stage debates, because the first stage debates were all, you did this and you did that and you're an idiot and you're this and you're that. That's all it was. The second stage debates, they actually debated. And people like Lindsey Graham actually did a good job. And that's why this whole thing is just a mess. I mean, I honestly, you just said how much you kind of almost despise Lindsey Graham. I'd almost rather he'd be sitting in the White House right now.
Man, I'm not sure I'd go that far.
I might.
Oh, I mean, to each their own. I don't know. It's just, like I said, he comes across as kind of slimy to me. But,
he does.
It's one of those
they all do.
Politician things, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I've met a couple up close that I actually didn't really get that impression from. Governor Bobby Jindal was actually one of them that just, from my brief interactions with him at SRLC 15, he seemed like a really personable kind of guy. He just came up and we were talking for a few minutes. We got a picture taken together. We were chatting. I mean, he didn't even see my credentials until he was starting to walk away. And then all of a sudden his demeanor kind of changed a little bit. But, I don't know, but, it's just one of those things. But, it's just, some people just from the beginning, I mean, that's like Donald Trump. There's something about him that has reminded me of, and I've been trying to find the picture of this person, because there was, back in, I believe it was season 10 of Supernatural, there was this group of, underworld type villains that were basically some sort of demigods, and when they would smile, their face would shift, and there was one of them that I swear looks just like Donald Trump, a few years younger but with dark hair. And when Donald Trump gives that big all-teeth smile, that's the first thing I see in my head every single time, is this dude from Supernatural that was trying to take over the world by running for office. And I'm just and I see Trump smile, and that keeps flashing in my head. And now somebody's taking the pictures down, because I found it once a long time ago, and I don't have that computer anymore. But I went back and I tried to look for it again, and I can't find the pictures of the guy. Because I swear to God, if you put them side by side, it would almost be freaky. But I can't find it now, and it's just, I don't know. Just something about all of this has kind of rubbed me the wrong way from the jump, because it just seems like, I mean, one, he kind of came out of the middle of nowhere. Two, nobody thought he was going to win, and then somehow he still managed to get there. And now the only upside to this is the fact that we now have the Pepe squad jumping from the Trump train faster than they can find the emergency brake, thanks to the fact that he's thrown cruise missiles into Syria. So, I mean, I guess there is yet another upside, because the alt-right is pissed, so that makes my day a little better.
Yeah, and it's funny. Yeah, the diehard Trump supporters, not all of them, but a lot of them, you see them jumping, and the neocons are like, "Yay! Look what he did last night."
And I'm still over here going, I didn't want Obama to do it.
It's disheartening, is what it is.
It's another game of political musical chairs. It's really what it is.
It's exactly what it is. Exactly what it is.
You got all the neocons going, great, we have somebody that basically will stand up to Syria. Why did we need to stand up to Syria? Why can't Syria clean up their own mess? Here's the thing, because depending on which news sources you listen to, they still haven't been able to confirm whether this was Syria or whether this was the rebels. And depending on who you listen to, that's kind of a recurring theme, because one side will say, oh, no, it wasn't Assad, it was the rebels. And then the other side's going, well, it wasn't the rebels, it was Assad. Here's the other thing that has me concerned. ISIS was cheering because we threw cruise missiles into Syria. That terrifies me. The people that we're supposed to be at war with were celebrating the fact that we did what we did. So you tell me we didn't screw up somewhere.
Yeah, and I lean towards it being Assad only because it was aerial. I mean, it was a bomb. It was an aerial bomb that went in there. Where did the rebels get their hands on that? You know, and if the gas was moved from Iraq to Syria, it wasn't moved to the rebels. It was moved to the government. I don't know. There's a lot of there's a lot of gray area there, but I still lean towards Assad he's a bad man. And I lean towards him being responsible, whether directly or indirectly. That's where I lean. Whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know.
I mean, and again, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but I guess my problem with this is, and again, we've had this talk before, I am not a fan of Team America World Police. I never have been. And I understand that the decision to make us World Police was decided decades before you and I were born. But I still wonder, did we really have to do what we did in Syria? Because I get it. Assad is a bad, bad man. I've never doubted that fact. I've never hidden the fact that I don't like some of the things that he's done. But was there a way to do what Donald Trump accomplished yesterday without throwing 60 cruise missiles into an airbase?
Yes, there was. And that was being vocal about, we can throw 60 Tomahawks into your airspace.
Sorry, I just got caught up on the chat, and I guess Ron had a bit of a quip when we were talking about Graham a few minutes ago. He said, so since he's from South Carolina, are Graham fans called graham crackers?
That's pretty funny.
Ron, you've got me snorting on air over here, brother. Speaking of which, I forgot to tell you this earlier, but he says hi, by the way, since you're not in the chat room.
That will change. I will start being in the chat room after next weekend.
Well, no, I know. I haven't really worried about it before now, because we usually do the show so late that we usually wind up pulling maybe 2 or 3 people into the chat, which is surprising because we actually have a lot of people listening right now. So while you are not at klrnradio.com/chat, I will never understand, because then you could be hanging out with everybody else and actually talking amongst yourselves while we're talking, because we have quite a few people listening live right now for a Friday night, which is good. I'm glad you're listening, but I'm just curious as to why you're not hanging out with us and talking and having fun. But anyway, we are up against a break. We're going to take our last break for the show. We'll be back here in about 3-4 minutes. Don't go away. Oh, I didn't have the right thing queued up, so let's fix that. It's late. Leave me alone.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
All right, folks, welcome back. Well, we're in the last part of the show, last segment. So, I'm going to change gears for just a second. Then I'm going to turn the mic back over to Dan, because y'all have been listening to us kind of go all over the map tonight. We've talked about everything from the nuclear option to the fact that the Trump cabinet seems to legitimately be falling apart to the point where he's now considering sacking somebody that he appointed to an imaginary position. And now apparently even looking at possibly firing Wright's Priebus, along with all the other things that have been going on that we should probably legitimately be talking about right now, but we're simply talking about Syria. So one of the things that, again, has been driving a lot of us crazy, because I get it, he is the president, we should respect the office, but what we've noticed, and me especially over the last couple of days, is all of the people that are just quick to go into name-calling as soon as you're either for or against whatever happened. Because if you're against it, then you must be some sort of a liberal who likes to see babies poisoned. But if you're for it, then you're a warmonger. Look, I'm neither. One thing that I've always tried to do, and one thing that I will continue to always try to do, is stand up for principles. That means that there are going to be times that I'm standing up alone. And I understand that. And that's what we need every single American to do. Because it's like Dan said at the beginning of the show, we're all Americans. And unlike Donald Trump saying that we need to put America first, he got it wrong. We as Americans need to remember that we are Americans first. Because if we're doing that, then we're going to put America first, but we're not going to do it in what can be considered dangerous ways. Because if we remember that whether we're white, black, Latino, purple with pink polka dots, if we're here and we're American citizens, then it means we are Americans first. And we need to stop allowing ourselves to be pigeonholed and categorized. And we need to remember that when we stand up as Americans and we stand together as Americans, nothing and no one can stop us. It doesn't matter what the letter is behind your name if you are an American. If you're willing to stand up for American values, I don't care if you have an I, an L, an R, a D, or whatever other political party you want to put behind your name. I don't care. If you're willing to stand up and stand with me for what I believe, I will find a way to support you. But we have got to find a way to bring ourselves back together instead of continuing to allow ourselves to be torn apart. And I've seen just as many conservatives having that going on today. Just as many liberals having that going on today. Just as many, no matter what you want to call yourselves, we're allowing ourselves to be picked apart by each other. And we're watching a government that no longer has our best interests at heart do what they want to do when they want to do it. And Syria is a glaring example of that, in my opinion, and rant. I need a mic drop sound effect.
Mic drop. That's you. You said you wanted to say all that and throw it over to me.
Sorry. Sorry.
Copy, paste.
Well, I would say you could just. I would say you could just say retweet, but you don't have an account.
Yeah, that's right. I am sharing on Facebook right now. It's the way people are thinking now. One term that has driven me crazy for well over a year now. I mean, probably a year and a half since it was coined, at least a year, is MAGA. Make America Great Again. America never stopped being great. It never stopped being great. The whole term, Make America Great Again, to me, is stupid. And it's looking more and more stupid because it's business as usual right now. America has always been great. It's never stopped being great. Things have gotten a little skewed, but it's always been a great country. It is a great country, and I'm hoping, by all hopes, that it will always be a great country because it's not heading in a better direction right now. And the whole MAGA crowd needs to stop. Do away with that hashtag. Do away with it all. We were always great. The end. You know, the people that praise everything he does drives me absolutely crazy. You look at the social media accounts, you look at the everything. It drives me nuts. It's like, really, you don't see it? It's business as usual right now. It's totally business as usual. And we've talked about it. I spent years, I left the party. I spent years trying to get something else happening. I worked kind of trying to push the Libertarian Party, which disappointed me this year. And trying to push anything. And I kind of came back for this election because I liked the candidates. I liked Cruz. I liked Rubio. I liked Fiorina. I liked Walker. I liked Paul. I was like, this is it. This is it. And this is what we ended up with. And now it's business as usual. And people are still trying to somehow, I don't know, excuse it? Is that the right term, Rick? Excuse it?
I don't necessarily think they're trying to excuse it. I mean, I understand the word that you're going for there, and I'm not sure there's a better one to describe it, but I'm not really sure I would consider it excusing it. I think some people don't have the coping skills to realize that things are not going the way they'd hoped. So I think it's one of those they're burying their head in the sand kind of things. Because when there were people that were confronted with smaller things than this that led them to understand the type of president this man was going to be, they refused to see it. Now we have, and again, I'm not necessarily saddened by the fact that the alt-right is jumping ship, and it's kind of looking like the plague of the frogs on the Pharaohs here with them jumping off the train. I'm not necessarily upset by this, because I never really thought the alt-right was a good fit for the Republican Party anyway. And even they're starting to really admit that it never really was a good fit for them. They were just more of what they were considering themselves the nationalistic arm of the Republican Party. Maybe they need to go off and form their own party or something. But, it's just...
Please do, because I don't see much more than about 3% support in this country for it.
Yeah, but I would much rather them be off on their own and kind of, holding their own little circle jerks and everything else.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Go off on your own. Go take your 3-4%, whatever it is, and just go do your thing and get out of politics.
But, I don't know. The whole thing just comes back to me of, the country's a mess. And if we keep fighting over how we're going to fix it, we're never going to fix it. But that's the point. And I know I keep coming back to this tonight. But if anything, the actions of this administration over the last several days, whether you agree with them or you don't, has solidified one point with me. There's no difference between the two administrations that we've just had. One passed Obamacare. One wants to pass a slightly less... what they consider less dangerous version of Obamacare. One wanted to attack Syria. One has attacked Syria. Where are the differences? So again, why are we fighting amongst ourselves when the government is not keeping up with our own best interest? They tell us they are. They tell us they will, but they don't. So when are we going to stand up as Americans and say enough is enough? When are we going to put aside the hyphens and say enough is enough? When are we going to put aside all of these pretend egregious inequalities and say enough is enough? For Christ's sakes, we've been talking about the gender wage gap now for 5 years. Everyone that talks about the gender wage gap over and over and over again, if you look at the people that are screaming the loudest about the gender wage gap, they're the ones that actually have the worst gender wage gap. And the gender wage gap is imaginary because it doesn't take into account things like when women leave because they've had children. And they choose to leave because they've had children. There is no gender wage gap. And if there is, even if it's imagined, why is it that the Democrats that are the ones that are screaming the loudest don't pay their female counterparts in the same offices more to make sure that they don't feel like there's a gender wage gap? It's no different than all of these Democrat morons that tell us, well, these rich people should be paying more taxes. Well, guess what, Jimmy Buffett? You cut them a check, they're going to keep it. I'm sorry, Warren Buffett, not Jimmy Buffett. But if you cut them a check, they're going to keep it. But you don't cut them an extra check, do you? You just sit there and you complain about how, well, me as a millionaire, I don't feel like I pay my fair share. Well, good. Pay more. Nobody's stopping you. But stop telling me what I need to do with my hard-earned money. This is what I'm talking about. We let the vocal minority tell us what we're going to do, and we let the loudest group in D.C., which are nothing but a bunch of morons other than save about probably 20 or 30 of them, tell us what we're going to do with our daily lives when it's supposed to be the reverse. These people are supposed to work for us. There should have never been a reason that a president would launch anything unilaterally without at least talking to the people that are paying his salary first. These type of things didn't used to happen. They shouldn't happen anymore. That was one of the reasons why when I found out the War Powers Act of 1973 existed, I really wished whoever thought of that idea would have never done it. Because before that was passed, they would have had to go to Congress. There was no 48-hour window. There was no, well, he's got 60 days to make up his mind what he wants to do, and if he can't get approval from Congress at that point, then he's got to pull back. None of that existed before 1973. And before that, they would have had to go to Congress. So let's look at what else was going on in the 70s. We were in the middle of the Vietnam era in the 60s and the 70s. So I wonder where the War Powers Act was born out of. And was it actually in the best interest of the country that it was created? Because I don't think so. So again, we're back to, yes, what he did last night, or actually now almost 2 nights ago, was illegal. Or was legal. But was it right? Was there any direct danger to American citizens? Was there a reason to put American hardware into foreign soil? I do not think that there was. Not when there was a way to stop this without military strength. But again, if you look at the whole picture, there are other reasons why Trump did what he did. Look at all of the different things that we were supposed to be talking about this week. One of them happens to be, I can't think of his name, but I think it's his son-in-law that was actually going to be getting grilled over possible Russian connections. Again, I don't know what happened with the Russians. All I want to know is the truth about that scenario, but now we're not talking about it again. Actually, it was Kushner was supposed to be being talked about, or they were supposed to be an issue where he was supposed to be being questioned or something, but then Syria happened, and now nobody's talking about anything but Syria. So it's all a distraction. This is the same thing. Anybody remember the aspirin factory in the 90s? You know, the day that the Monica Lewinsky story broke and all of a sudden we were throwing cruise missiles in an aspirin factory? Seemed like a pretty good distraction. There was another distraction that happened around the... Uh-oh, I think I put Dan to sleep again. He's literally falling asleep on me. I have talked so long he's gone to sleep. Nice. Alright, so I guess I'll be finishing the show without my host, because apparently I've talked so long that he's fallen asleep. Alright, so we're going to wrap up this last thought, because there was another little interesting story that broke the same time as the aspirin factory had the cruise missiles thrown at it, and this is one that nobody's talking about. And I've talked about it before, but we're going to talk about it again. Then we're going to end the show, because I put my co-host to sleep, because I think we may go back to an hour format, because with as much as he's been working, I just don't think he can do 2 hours anymore. But anyway, so there was another story that broke that same day. It was the fact that it actually came to light that in the Reagan administration, there were actually ties to the CIA being involved in the drug war. Now, I do not blame President Reagan for this, because at the time that this all happened, I think a lot of this was actually being handled by Bush 41. So there were a couple of different things that were going on. So you tell me, because one of the things that I've often wondered about is why, when all of this was going on, was an attorney not smart enough to plead the fifth and say this is a private matter between myself and my wife, and therefore will remain as such, and I will not discuss this with Congress. Because if he had done that, he would not have been able to be impeached. What they impeached him for was lying to Congress under oath. But again, around that same time, there were stories coming out about some shady things that were going on in the 80s. So was it another distraction? Only time will tell what this distraction actually was about. And on that note, folks, we're out for the night because I am by myself. We will be back next week, and I think we may actually discuss probably after next week going back down to the hour format, because I think 2 hours may just be a little too much for my co-host. But we will be back soon enough before you know it. Enjoy your weekend. Take care. God bless.
Everything